be a specialist in finance, you could be a specialist in marketing, you could be a specialist in HR, you could be a specialist in any of the MBA related fields. As long as, and it has been mentioned numerous times, as long as you're adding value to your position and able to identify opportunities cross-border. And that could involve, as was earlier described, identifying a target, for example, for some pharmaceuticals in Ranbaxy, or it could be, for example, identifying a new market opportunity for, I don't know, a kind of flavored bottled water that you might have come up with, or determining Coke's India entry strategy. It could be anything. So it encompasses and it sort of covers all your expertise that you may have accumulated during your MBA course. It also, very importantly, requires MBA students, BBA students, whoever is choosing that field, who is looking to get into that field, to develop strong communication skills, strong networking skills, apart from the other things such as Excel and modeling and all that, which, those are the basic skills that you need to have. But essentially, it is about networking, it is about people, it is about identifying opportunities, it is about sitting right next to the CEO or the director of the firm and sort of determining where or what the next step should be in the company's growth. So, there was a couple of hands that went up for international business. Can I see those hands? Okay. Can you talk about perhaps what you were thinking when you talk about international business?
So basically now the plan in my mind is that to make the exports, taking the imports and exports of the goods from internationally, from taking and sell those goods or my products to another country, to my country, through all the rules and regulations and all the basic requirements of the country.
Excellent. So he's talking about exports and imports. Exports and imports, of course, are very important for a country's GDP. You've probably heard a lot of numbers being floated around about India's exports and import numbers and where our GDP is going. Is there anybody else who else raised their hand about international business? Was anybody else? Yeah?
So I also think that for the country benefit also, that we should export more and more from our country. So my main plan is to set up an organization or a firm and start exporting. Currently my father is just in the domestic market, Indian market, and I want to export so that I can give benefit to my country also and my firm also.
Excellent. So what he touched upon was another point which we did not mention earlier, was it's not only multinational MNCs and large NGOs, but it is also entrepreneurs who are looking to grow their family businesses, right? That's a very good point. And I'm glad that somebody talked about entrepreneurship, because earlier when we had a show of hands, there was not that many entrepreneurs, but I'm encouraging and hoping that as the discussion moves forward, at least some of you will come up and talk about entrepreneurship. I've spent a lot of time in the SME, the small medium-sized business segment throughout my 15 odd years in career. So let's talk about entrepreneurship, let's talk about businesses, let's talk about international business, and let's talk about all the various specializations we're talking about. The reason I'm standing in the middle of you is because I feel most comfortable talking with students. I was a student myself not too long ago, so give it to me. Let's talk about it. Let's see how much information you can extract from us this morning. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Vikram. Actually, I know that it is very, very short and very crisp. I know you have many other areas to cover. Foreign currency investment services is part of international business? Yeah, so there are many things like that we will be talking about. Let's move on. We will have Baldeep. You may like to talk about operations or marketing or everything put together. Okay, thank you.
Okay, let me just borrow the idea from Vikram to just stand up and probably address you guys. I'm extremely thankful and humble to be here this morning addressing you guys. Let me take the entire discussion from the area basically, or from the lens of the area that I represent, which is the e-commerce world. I understand that you guys are probably not given the specialization in operation, but that's probably my bread and butter there in the e-commerce world. But I'll probably try to explain what does marketing as a function means to an e-commerce company. How many of you are avid online shoppers, by the way? Let me just see if this topic itself interests you. That's you? Okay, okay. I think, okay, I didn't see a lot of ladies raising their hands, though we have a lot of women shoppers also. Okay, great. Probably just to give some context into what I'm talking of, in the next maybe few minutes, I want you to probably visualize how does a marketing team in an e-commerce company would look like, basically. So you would probably get a sense of what are the different functions which marketing team has for an e-commerce company caters for, and perhaps maybe in the exhaustive sessions we can talk about the skill sets required to probably be able to do justice to those functions. In a sense, marketing here in Jabong addresses two basic channels: the online channel, which talks about the SEO. How many of you know what SEO means? SEO. What does that mean? Okay, great. And what does SEM means? SEM. Do you guys have any know-how? SEM. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I think these guys have skipped the breakfast, so the time too early, or I can't hear you guys. SEM. Search engine management. Okay. Can anyone would like to probably take another dig at it? SEM. Okay, basically search engine marketing. We talked about search engine optimization as SEO. We have on the online world, we have some affiliate channels. We have the GDNs. Can anyone talk about what GDN means? I'm sorry, can someone pass on the mics because I can't hear people? Okay, so GDN is basically the Google Display Network, and we have the IDN, the Yahoo Display Network. So it's in a sense the overall marketing efforts on the online world channelize on majorly these 4 or 5 different areas. Then it comes as the offline stuff, wherein we probably spend our efforts into releasing magazines. We probably tie up with, we promote events. Like for example, there was a recent Lakme Fashion Week conducted in Mumbai, wherein Jabong came out as the major sponsor. So in a sense, when we started off, I remember 2011, we wanted to be an aggregator of absolutely anything that we would be selling. But now gradually there is a course correction, and we want to probably be the fashion destination in India. And there is a curation everywhere. There is a curation of the marketplace, the inventory that we hold. There is a curation on the overall assortment that we say we are keeping. And this curation is in a sense helping us actually reach the vision of being the fashion destination in India. And every marketing effort which I talked about, either the online channel or the offline channel, is aimed at actually is making us reach there. Now let me just step back and probably give a basic sense of how operations is actually helping the company reach there. I'm basically handling 2 verticals in Jabong right now. One is the entire catalog management. So entire catalog is basically the 1.5 lakh products that you see on the website. And they go through a set sequence of processes that enable us to probably on a day-to-day basis enable us to add thousands of products on the website every day. So these processes are basically the photo shoots, the image editing, and the content writing, and all of these are part of operations today. And here, how we are helping company achieve the vision, wherein when I say the fashion destination of India, we probably come up with unique features. Like yesterday, we launched the video capability. I'm not sure whether the people who probably visit Jabong, they'll be able to relate to it that. There's this every SKU that we have on our website is going to have a video capability wherein the model will walk the ramp and we'll be able to see and probably see the entire stuff from a altogether different perspective. And this essence is basically on to creating a more niche fashion predominant image. And there are very few fashion players in the company, and basically e-commerce fashion players in the company, and the closest competitor being Myntra only. So yeah, okay, let me just wind it up by saying operations do have a lot of role to probably play into making marketing achieve that vision of being of us being the fashion destination. And here, as I talked about, let me just sum up. Marketing is essentially categorized into two channels: the offline and the online world. Online is predominantly the online marketing, the GDNs, the YDNs, and the SEO and the SEMs. The offline world is predominantly the magazines or any other fashion events that we undertake to achieve the same vision of being the fashion destination in India. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Baldev. It's not a new area. I think a very interesting one. E-commerce is almost at the doorstep. Grab the opportunity, the first mover advantage. Baldev, you will be providing more insights into the whole thing. Thank you so much. May I request the versatile Anjul? He can speak about marketing, he can speak about HR. Option is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sebastian. So I guess Baldeep focused more on e-commerce. Let me just go back and talk more about marketing in general. So I guess most of you would know what 4 P's are of marketing, right? How many of you know? Not everyone. Guys, come up. Okay, so can someone help me revise what are those 4 P's? Anyone? Yeah? Alright, so I guess hopefully most of you, all of you know. So I guess marketing, if you can talk like that, helps organizations manage those 4 P's. Just make sure you know what to sell, where to sell, whom to sell. So let's take for example, any company. So any company, just Coca-Cola maybe. Okay. So who decides, for example. So how many brands does Coca-Cola have in India? Can you name a few? Sorry, at the back, yes.
Sprite,
Yeah.
Fanta, I know 2.
Alright, I guess. So yeah.
Sprite, Thumbs Up, Minute Maid,
Kinley.
Limca,
Quite a
Mazda.
few, right? Quite a few. So, and I guess what you guys need to understand is globally they will have a lot more, right? So they will have a few more which they don't sell in India. So one of the key functions marketing plays is deciding which brands, which products to sell in which country, which is the target segment. So for example, take a company like, so I used to work at Nokia. We will have a very clear idea of who would buy a for example, a Lumia 720 and who will buy a Lumia 520 and who will buy a Lumia 1520, for example. So you need to be very clear even before designing the product, what is the customer segment or which customers will buy which phone, and then develop a portfolio around that. So that is, I guess, core of marketing. How do you communicate the brand really clearly to customers so that they understand what the product will provide to them in terms of benefits. But I don't want to talk about marketing. I want to actually talk about something else. So when you talk about marketing, there is another word which comes very closely with it. What is that? Yeah, so sales. Someone says sales. I think we sometimes forget, and especially for you guys, because when you start working, it's very rare for a MBA student to go out of college and get into a marketing job right away. Most of you would start in a sales job, right? You know that, right? If you don't know that, please be very clear. It's very rare for anyone to just get into a marketing job. It takes time to get there. So what is sales? selling the product. What else? That is obvious, selling the product. Yes, but what is involved in selling the product? You know, when you do sales, there is another person involved, right? The buyer, right, or the customer or the client, right? So I think given that the context is about choosing specialization and what you want to do in your career, marketing or sales or whatever, marketing operations, sales operations, just be very clear that it's not about product and the company. The key differentiator is that you are the face of the company to the person who actually pays the company money to buy their products. Okay, so that I would almost call it courage. That courage to stand before someone else and talk about what you do and what you are selling, and almost persuade them to buy. I think that is what differentiates good marketing and sales people from say a finance guy or say a operations guy, who are more they are still obviously meeting a lot of people internally and all that, but the key focus is something else. The focus for marketing is not about products or places in that sense, but just being there, standing in front of someone else, talking about what the company does. And if you don't think you have that courage, I think about something else. So that is one thing you must know. And I think in general, what you guys must think about, when you are MBA students or whatever, business administration students, is, think about finance and what Pankaj said, and think about what you heard about international business. So for example, let me ask you a question. So guys who are interested in finance, why should a company hire you and not a chartered accountant, for example? Or for example, in HR, why hire an MBA student and not a psychology guy maybe? That's what most international locations, that's what happens. The psychology guys are the guys that get into HR more than, MBA students that way. Or for example, sales, I would say, why not hire a mathematics graduate and why hire a, MBA? Have you asked yourself that question? I think the answer is, I don't know, each one of you will have your own answer, but I think in some sense it will all revolve around how much you understand businesses. And a lot of people here have talked about understanding the business. I think the specialization is important, but what is also important is how much do you understand how businesses work, what is cash flow, where does money come from, to do a business, how do you create products, how do you sell them in the market. If you don't really understand those things, you are not really a business administration guy, and that will limit where you can get in your career. So I think you still have a lot of time here in college. Try and use that time, get a better understanding of how businesses work. Different businesses work very differently, and I think that will get you places sometimes more than technical knowledge of subjects. Okay, so I will leave at that, and we'll talk about that more in our next session.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. In fact, a very, very, very fascinating function is marketing. It's all about creativity, building brand, thinking globally. In fact, thinking globally is something that immediate thing is you were talking about different brands, and when Pepsi wanted to launch their product in China, they went ahead with that brand Pepsi, and that was a very, very bad decision for Pepsi, because Pepsi in Chinese language has a different meaning altogether. It is all about bite the wax, bite the wax of tadpole, that larva of a frog. That's actually the Chinese meaning of Pepsi. So global thinking is required. Marketing people bring that insights into the whole thing. This was a very interesting session so far. We have so many questions to ask all the panelists. Now this next 30 minutes, the time that we have, is going to be the very, very important moment of your career decision making point. I think I urge you, I request you to put all your energy, stand up and ask your question, right? If you do not ask questions, you are actually missing a big opportunity out here. The depth and the experience that we have in this group, it is for you for the next 30 minutes, 40 minutes maximum. We can stretch for another 10 minutes, I hope so, with the permission from everybody. So please make use of this opportunity. Ask all irrelevant questions also, whether it is relevant, irrelevant, immaterial. Your question may not be absolute, not necessarily that it should be properly structured. Feel free. It should come from your mind, from your heart. That's it. Yeah. So make use of that. In fact, after hearing everybody, let me ask with you, Pankaj, if one area in the finance that you don't like about, what is that?
Area in finance or like a role that...
The role.
Okay. So I guess the first role that, for example, in investment banking, when you start off right after your undergrad or MBA, is the analyst or the associate position. Unfortunately, you're so low in the totem pole when it comes to hierarchy that often a large part of your day is spent in terms of waiting for comments from your boss and so on and so forth. A very frustrating part of the job, because you get to work at 9 o'clock in the morning. Your managing director also gets there by 9, 10, whatever, reviews the documents, talks to the client, so on and so forth, understands that, gives his views to the senior vice president, who then marks up the book or looks at the presentation, gives it to the next guy. By the time it's 7 p.m., you're ready to leave work, is when you actually start getting some of the work. So unfortunately, that part of the job is not the most exciting. But once you've paid your dues and you understand the value of why it is important to be there till 7 o'clock, and it takes a lot of stamina and energy to work the kind of hours that a career in finance demands. You really start understanding businesses well, start developing those relationships. Hopefully your boss also starts becoming a little bit nicer to you and start giving you work at 5 o'clock rather than 7 o'clock, so you can go home at a reasonable time. But that is something that I didn't quite enjoy in my younger days in investment banking. Hopefully the culture has changed. I think all across Wall Street now the culture is to encourage people to start doing it in a more efficient way. Analysts are now sent home in the evening on Friday, and a lot of the banks don't allow you to even work on Saturdays and Sundays. So I think the culture is changing, but that's one thing that's never been.
Thank you, Pankaj. Should I ask the question, or can I expect some questions here? And don't spend too much of time thinking about what should be asked. In fact, please ask. Anything that is coming to your mind is a question. Please do that.
You can write down your questions beforehand, and when the opportunity comes, you ask.
Okay. All right. So we will have think about it. In the meantime, Ron. Sorry. Please stand up. Yeah.
Very good morning, sir. Sir, at this point of time, we are standing. This is a very confusing time for us, BBA final year student. So, from where we do our MBAs? First question, and in which field? It is really confusing for us. So, what should we do for that?
Yeah. Normally, all the difficult questions like this come to me. I pass on to my panelist. So having said that, let me make an attempt. After that, I will request. The confusion is a positive thing, which means that there is some thinking happening in your mind from an HR point of view. So you are a BBA final year student.
Yes, sir.
The first question you asked is that which institute you should aim for,
yes,
right?
Sir.
Sir, with due respect to you, this is of course a great institute. I have nothing against this institute.
Spoken like a true diplomat. At one point of time, you chose RIS.
Yes, sir.
Now you have known about RIS. Wait. It is very natural to a person. He wants to go to the next rung and next rung. RDIS may not be the most outstanding, but it is one of the outstanding institutes.
Sure, sir.
So I understand your anxiety that you want to now say, okay, why not I am Ahmedabad or this place or that place. So you have to choose how much you can spend, what is your aspirations, where do you want to be, in what time frame. All that will decide which way to go. But still I will again pass it on to Mr. Sebastian. He will be able to do justice.
See, there is a concept called outsourcing. This is the model. Yeah, I think you want to try?
Yeah. I would sincerely request you, if there's an opportunity to work before your MBA program, I would highly encourage everybody to do that. Unfortunately, what happens is if you go straight from a BBA into MBA, a lot of the classes are repeated, and the way you've been thinking in terms of your undergrad classes gets repeated. A lot of the MBA is not about the book knowledge, the bookish knowledge and the concepts, but it's about making friends, developing a network, bringing different perspectives. So ideally the class is different perspectives from marketing, management, finance. If you've not worked ever in your life and you've gone straight from an undergrad to an MBA institution, it's difficult to bring those kind of perspectives to class. So, ideally if you work for a couple of years, at least at a couple of organizations, it just gives you depth of perspective. And you also have a fair understanding, you matured a little bit, you have a fair understanding of, oh, these are the skill sets that I have developed. Long term, this is what I want to do. So hopefully the MBA program will allow me to develop X, Y, and Z. And then different schools have specializations in different things. I'm more familiar with the MBA programs in the US. So like Harvard's very focused on leadership, Wharton is very well known for finance, Kellogg is very well known for marketing. So, different schools kind of specialize in different things. But if you go to a good school, irrespective of what you study, you'll come up with some great friends and great perspectives. So that's what is important in life.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Yeah.
I'd like to just pick up on a point that has been raised. I've only been in India for 2 years, and one of the things that I find totally incredible here is this obsession with MBA. The business world is increasingly saying that MBAs, I'm talking internationally, MBAs are being hammered because a lot of people that are coming out with MBAs are not in a position to add real value to organizations. In the Western world, typically I would support it. You'd only look at doing an MBA when you've got possibly 5-10 years experience. Then at least you've had some exposure, as you're saying, to different organizations. The decision on what field you go into